Hey everybody, it's Rob. Welcome back to another look at the book. Before we jump into this one, I have a few things that I want to talk about or clarify before I take a look at this book. Um, First of all, I want everybody to understand that it is probably one of the hardest things to do, in my opinion, to produce something and then put it out there for the world to critique. Um, that's a very difficult thing in this day and age where everybody is a keyboard commando and will tear everything you do apart, everything you say. It's the age in which we live, and you can be persecuted for things you said years ago. It is what it is. That being said, I also see a lot of people who come onto YouTube and they are like, well, I'm a publisher, or I've been published, so I think this, blah, 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 blah. Well, that means nothing. In fact, it means less than nothing most of the time. In this day and age of self publication, surprise, surprise, any of us can be published. We're not having to get approval from some big company. We can go self publish books. And that is a great thing because it gives people an opportunity for a creative outlet to put out something that they care about. And I bring that up because I am published. I've not all of it in the gaming area, but I do have published work in the gaming area with Savage Worlds through a third party company years ago. I did some adventure work for them. But that doesn't mean my opinion is more valuable than anybody else's. The reason that I bring that up is because though I was published through this other company for an adventure I wrote, I learned very quickly what it's like to work on something and then put it out there and have someone critique it and send it back to you for rewrites and corrections and things. And that's how the writing process generally works. But it is very, very difficult for someone to write something, put it out there, and now mine obviously was critiqued. It sold really well when it did go public, but it was critiqued by the company that was publishing it quite a bit before it went public. So I do know what that feels like, and I want to bring that up because the book I am going to talk about today, I have more than one critique with, and it's not because I'm sitting here trying to trash anybody's product. It's because I hope that the person who wrote the book will take some of it to heart and find it useful criticism, because that's really the best kind. Like, having constructive criticism is a thing, and that's what I'm trying to do here. um, so the book that I'm going to talk about today is one that I had a viewer, um, may have been two different viewers, I'm not sure. Somebody asked me to review it, so I went on Amazon, I picked it up. It was $5.55, so it wasn't like it broke the bank or anything. But it's called The Forever System 1D6, the Tabletop RPG. Alright, so this is a $6 role-playing game. It's 40 pages, perfect bound, nothing wrong with that. I'll read from the back of the book. Ever wanted a simple yet fun and easy tabletop role-playing game to get into? I mean, who doesn't, right? Well, here's your chance to get yourself or someone else into the world of RPGs. The Forever System is an honest-to-goodness 1d6 system. All you will ever need is a single dice. It should be a single die that is six-sided. Yes, that dice we use and see everywhere we go, costing only pennies. All ages can play in any environment. All you need is your imagination and a little paper and pencil. And then the back of the book has somebody's picture, the graphic designer, I think, and then an illustration that is some hands that are trying to grab some kind of pixelated light or something. I'm not really sure. The front of the book is obviously designed to mimic like a Game Boy. So I immediately, when I look at this, I think video game. And this would not be the first tabletop role-playing game to try to emulate video games. I've done it myself. I did an entire campaign using Savage Worlds to emulate Diablo, and ran a full campaign of it. We had a blast with it. And there were things I found as I was running it, like, well, this doesn't work, I have to change this, or this is too powerful, I have to change this. And my players understood that it was a touch and go thing, and it wasn't because I was trying to publish it. It was just for my own sanity, I guess, because I was everything to me is preparing for something else, and I have some ideas, a couple particularly that I would like to bring to Kickstarter this year or next year. But part of the publication part, not the writing part, is bothering me, and I have to look at that. But that's beside the point. I got criticism back from my players, so it helped me, and I'm going to give some here. So when I read the back of the book, the description did not make me think, okay, this is emulating a video game. But obviously, the front of the book makes you think this is emulating a video game, even down to the pixelated art and the zombies on there. Like I said, it's a 40-page book. It is black and white. It is by Bobby Forever. And so let's just go ahead and do art. Every page has the same background, and it is this pixelated, almost video game type background of, I don't know, it looks like maybe a desert and some zombie hands coming up. Maybe that's what's supposed to be on the back. There's no variation in the art. The art is all the same. The book does jump right into the rules of the game, and I'll be honest, I had to read this multiple times to get a grasp of what the author was trying to get across with these rules. And it's because it jumps right into it, and things are not as well explained as they probably could be. There probably could be more in-depth examples. So like it just starts out, rules of the game. Weapon class. Every weapon has a parent class DMG damage model. For pistols, it's the M9 with a 1d6, 2 to 3 equals 1, 4 to 6 equals 2. What that means is if you roll a 3, your pistol damage is 1. Now, not including any other modifiers such as plus damage, additional damage for being a weapon higher up on the tier. 2 equals 1, 3 to 4 equals 2, and 5 to 6 equals 3. Means you take the number to the right of the equation in lieu of your roll, with the exception of A plus to the right of the equation. For instance, a shotgun is 2 equals plus 1, 3 to 4 equals plus 2, and then 4 to 6 equals plus 3. Means you add the number to the right of the equal sign to your roll, so your roll of 6 equals 6 plus 3, or 9 total damage. What? I don't know, it just, I don't know, it didn't come across to me as very easy to understand. I had to read it several times to kind of piece together what the author meant here. And the entire book is like that. There are various points in the book where there are things that are just not explained. Like some of the weapons or gear or whatever gives a plus to MV. And I haven't found anywhere in here where it explains what MV is. I'm assuming that it's to movement on the map, but I'm not entirely sure of that. It does explain how armor works. That seemed a little simpler. I did understand that. What natural ones mean. And then the magic I found to be very confusing. And a lot of this is going to have to be read, and I would have to see it in play. It is not very intuitive, in my opinion. It needs to be explained a whole lot better and more in depth to get across the point you're trying to get across. And the reason that I bring that up is because on the back it says all ages can play in any environment. And if you've watched my channel for any time, you know that I do a lot of gaming with kids. And I'm very familiar with what your average kid can handle rules-wise. If I was to hand this to the 12-year-olds that I play with and have them read that first paragraph, I assure you none of them would understand it. So that needs to be laid out better, explained better. The other problem that I have with the wording in itself is, as you can see, there are very few breaks in there that let you know you're moving into a different section of the rules. The headers are all the same font. There are a few places where bold is used, but not nearly enough. And the entire book is written in all caps. And I do find that annoying. Like, I can't stand, if it's something very important, then yes, that should be in all caps. But the entire book being in all caps is not a good thing. It makes it even that much harder to discern where the break in the paragraph, like, is this there's a lot of places in here where I didn't realize I was moving from one section into another section because there's no header breaks or anything like that to let me know that. And the fact that all of the font looks the same and it's all capital letters, I don't know, it just wasn't very reader friendly, I guess. It has a gameplay breakdown, which is not really a gameplay breakdown. It's more of a explaining what a GM is, what an NPC is. And then it starts talking about spawn points, which are spaces on the map where players spawn into the map based on their movement from that square. Typically 2 spawn points on a map, one for the players and one for the enemies. So again, through terminology that's used here, it feels like I'm getting more video game lingo. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but remember, because we're going to come back to this, it's all ages can play in any environment. That's a big boast. I play games that are designed to be played in any environment, and none of them can do it in 40 pages. So I had my doubts about that when I saw this. And then we get to a copy of the blank character sheet, which doesn't look overly complicated. The game only goes to 6 levels. It kind of explains what stuff is on the character sheet. It has this optional magic system that, because of the other stuff in the book, seems really out of place. You don't have any races, which is not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people, when they pick up a role-playing game, especially one where they are able to play anything in any environment, expect to see something about different races, dwarves or elves or avians or whatever. But that's not necessarily the case. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people like to have the races in there so that they can have the racial modifiers and stuff, good or bad or whatever. But there are other instances, like I love Frostgrave, and race means nothing in Frostgrave. And part of the reason they do that is so that you can use any model. It doesn't matter what the race is on the model, and they don't have to create races for every model that's out there. And if that's the intent here, is that everybody is human, that's fine, because races aren't even mentioned in the book. If I think it should be either races should be added, or it should be put in here that, you know, because you're trying to keep it loose and fast, then race isn't really something that you're worried about. It's just kind of ambiguous. Don't worry about races. We do have classes, though. You have the medic, the assault, the close quarters, the heavy gunner, the demolitionist, and the sharpshooter. And each one has their list of special abilities that they get at different levels. And then you have a breakdown of your outfit, your armor, and weapons, and the damage that they do. And again here, this is all, you look at those classes that I just listed off, and then you look at the outfits and weapons. The outfits are all, modernized or military outfits, and the weapons, it's ARs, SMGs, shotguns, LMGs, snipers, secondary weapons, pistols, grenades. So again, I'm getting that feeling of this is a set in a modern or near future RPG, and probably with zombies, because we got zombie hands on each page. Then you have a list of items, and all of the items are fairly modern as well. And the reason that I bring that up again is because it says that it's for all ages to play in any environment, but the information that's here is not really for any environment. There's no information on swords or bows or medieval armor or anything like it. In fact, the only thing that doesn't feel modern or near future about it is the fact that it has a very confusing and loose magic system, where the magic seems to be either elemental damage or curative, or holy or unholy, and that seems to be it. There's the magic system is, I'm not gonna lie, the magic system just blows my mind. It's kind of difficult. I don't really get it. Apparently you're supposed to choose between things on each type of magic. I didn't really understand that, and I read it a couple of times. And I would think that I'm a fairly smart guy. I read a lot of games and I talk about a lot of stuff, but I'll get to why I didn't get some of this in a minute, or why I think I didn't. So then we go into using or having a backstory. There's like 1d6 random backstories. But like if you roll a 1, a family member is trapped and has the virus. Find the cure. Or 2, you are a benevolent doctor who is looking for the cure. Again, this is all, there's a zombie virus and you're part of a team doing something about it. Okay, let's move on. You got terrain and weather, starting equipment for the characters. The threat manual, which would be your monster section, is 1 page, and on it you have zombie walker, zombie runner, zombie cop, zombie spitter, zombie reaper, zombie soldier, zombie exploder, and then you have a marauder sharpshooter, a marauder shotgunner, and a marauder assault, and that's it. And it has the stats to use them, but clearly this is a modern zombie apocalypse RPG is what this is. Then you have a story section, which is very, very minimal. It's a 3-act section or 3-act structure, and it kind of goes into describing Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and each one is described simply in a couple of sentences, and it's kind of left for the GM to figure it out, flesh it out. You are apparently working for Bobby Forever, the guy who wrote the book, put himself into the game, or girl, I'm not sure. I didn't really look into it, but Bobby could go either way. Is in command of Oasis, Oasis. So made a character of themselves to be the commander who sends you on missions. And then you have Bobby's wife, who is second in command. Then you have an NPC character who is Chris. And then we have another NPC that is Jake, another NPC named Kay, NPC named Cameron, and each of them has a fully fleshed out character sheet. And then we have another blank character sheet. But wait, we have 6 more blank character sheets before we round out the end of the book. So all in all, 7 total blank character sheets in here, which is probably an overkill and a waste of space, because you could have put 1 blank character sheet in here for people to photocopy, and that extra page count could be used to expand out on the rules to make it easier to understand. What I think is, what I feel like after looking at this is, number one, I do not feel like this is for all ages. I do not feel like it is for any environment. I feel like it is a tabletop game that is trying to emulate a modern day zombie apocalypse game, shooter game, like Left 4 Dead or something like that. That's what it's, that's the only information that's in here. And even then, the notes on the rules feel like I'm reading skeletal notes that I've written for either a campaign or when I'm writing rules for my own game. It feels like my notes, not a finished, polished product that you would put out to the public. There are several places in here where this is just like, oh, well, this is how I would notate this, and I'll come back and I'll clean that up and flesh it out later. I just feel like it didn't get cleaned up and fleshed out, and you're trying to read through somebody else's notes who, this Bobby Forever, I'm sure that those notes make perfect sense in that person's head, because I have that same issue. There have been several times I've written things and I ask one of my friends to read it and they don't get it. And it's because part of what they don't get is in my head because I haven't fleshed it out. So, yeah, I feel like it's incomplete. That's what I feel like after looking at it. I feel like a lot more could have been done with this. I don't really see the budget as being a constraint, because there are plenty of games in the $5 bracket out there that are really well produced and full game. Basic Fantasy, you need the main rule book is all you need to play that game. It has everything in it, and it's a full game, and it's a $5 book. White Box, same way. It's a $5 book, and it's a full game. It's 10 levels of fantasy. Granted, it's not something you can do anything with, but to be honest, neither is this. You can do zombie apocalypse modern day with this, and that's pretty much it. So I don't know if the author was trying to emulate a zombie video game when this was written, but from the cover art to the interior equipment and weapons and classes and the adventure that's in there, that is what it feels like. So it definitely doesn't feel like a play in any environment, unless by environment he means like literal environment, or she means like a literal environment like desert, city, whatever. In which case, environment's probably the wrong word to use for a tabletop RPG, because a lot of people don't think like that. They think they could play in different settings, or maybe that's just the way I think. I don't know. I think it's an interesting stab at tabletop role-playing after reading it. I think with some work and some polishing, this could be a very good little $5 RPG. But I do think that the rules need to be expanded, cleaned up. You need to break that font up. You need to have headers for different sections to make it easier to discern where one section begins and another section ends. Those are all things that are very important in RPG books. The art thing is a complaint that I have, and that's just because I'm an art guy, so I like art, and when every page in the book looks exactly the same, I'm not impressed by the art. So, yeah, I honestly, at this point, I could not recommend picking this game up. Maybe if the author was to put some more work into it and expand the sections out. It doesn't necessarily have to make it something it's not. If they want to make it a RPG that is a zombie shooter simulator, then just, tell us on the back of the book that's what it is. That's fine. Because a lot of people will jump all over it. I won't, because I don't care about zombie games. I used to like zombie games, but I got really burned out on it, so I will probably never run a zombie role-playing game. But there are plenty of people who would. So if that's what they are trying to go for here, then that's what I would suggest doing. Focus on that, expanding out the modern weapons, expanding out the actual environment, expanding out the rules. Do not use all caps all the way through the book. That is a horrible idea. So if you're going to clean this up at all, or take any of my advice, I hope you do. Again, I feel like I'm giving a bad review, but I'm not really trying to trash somebody, because this is somebody's heart and, somebody's heart and soul. This is somebody put work into this, and I get that. All I'm trying to do is tell you some things that, from a customer's point of view, this is my critique to it. I hope that that's helpful. And if you were looking at this on Amazon and considering picking it up, you might want to wait and see if they do more with it. Maybe add some more to the rules or whatever. But outside of that, after understanding how some of the rules work, which it did take a few times reading it, I don't think it's going to be a bad system. I think it could be a very fun and fast system. But it, like I said multiple times already, it needs to be explained better than what is in here. You do that, and maybe a couple of other things to fix some of the stuff in here, and yes, it could be good. But right now, it just feels like this is somebody's notes on writing an RPG. So I am sorry to not give a glowing review of the game, but I was not super impressed with the product. And this is not the first time I have had other products from much larger companies that I've complained about. Freely put out Destroyer of Worlds for the Alien RPG, and that game, that supplement is horrible. I have a video where and I do trash it, and in the nicest of ways, but there is some stuff in it that is just ridiculous that it was even done. And I have another one sitting right here that I will show in another video that I'm going to take a look at, that I already know there are things about it I like and things about it I don't like. But again, remember, this is just my opinion, and I'm published, so it doesn't matter whether you listen to me or not. But that being said, I hope that this was helpful to anybody who was interested in this, or if you're the author and you see this. And if you like the video, thumbs up. If you don't like the video, thumbs down. I'm betting I get a couple of those. Until next time, my friends, good gaming and good luck.